Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is Explanation of Battle Through the Heavens episode number 163 based on novel. So let's start. He has actually lost. Ling Quan and the fifth commander visibly expressed their startled eyes as they looked at Yang Hao struggling with some stone fragments. They exchanged looks with one another and saw a horror that could not be hidden from each other's eyes. This brat, how did he become so strong? Ling Quan clenched his fist. His heart was filled with disbelief. Although he was aware that Xiao Yang had already surpassed him, he did not expect Xiao Yang to be able to defeat Yang Hao, whose strength was at the peak of the fifth star, in such an easy fashion. Being someone from the same clan, Ling Quan was well aware of Yang Hao's strength. Yang Hao possessed quite a number of powerful Do skills. He had even mastered the God Seal skill to the overturning land seal. With this strength, he would be hard-pressed to find any opponent who could match him from the same level. However, from the looks of that battle earlier, Yang Hao was completely suppressed by Xiao Yang until he was at a disadvantage. His ferocious attacks did not even harm Xiao Yang. Clearly, Xiao Yang's fighting strength had far surpassed his level on the surface. There really is a reason he caught the young miss's eyes. His strength is likely similar to Big Brother, the fifth commander softly sighed. Ling Quan's expression became even more gloomy when he heard these words. Yang Hao, who was buried under the rock fragments of the building, struggled to climb out. Most of his clothes were in tatters. At a glance, he was charred black. Fresh blood continued to seep from the corner of his mouth while he coughed. Yang Hao's hair scattered down from his head. His appearance was just like a mad demon. A pair of savage blood-red eyes glared at Xiao Yang. He had basically suffered a complete lose during this match. No matter how he thought about it, he could not understand how he had ended up being defeated in such a miserable manner by Xiao Yang, especially since he was at the peak of the fifth star of the Dozun strength and possessed many high-class Do skill. Bastard thing, I refuse to accept this. Fury and embarrassment swelled within his heart. He was defeated in such a miserable manner in public. If word of this were to spread back to the GU realm, there was no telling just how much ridicule he would suffer. Immediately, Yang Hao became hot-headed. He let out a furious roar as his foot stomped on the ground. Enduring the intense pain that was being transmitted from all over his body, he turned into lightning that once again shot towards Xiao Yang on the stage. Quite a number of people frowned when they saw Yang Hao, who appeared to have suddenly lost his sense of reasoning. This fellow appeared to be without any grace. Bang! Xiao Yang's eyes were indifferent as he watched Yang Hao rush over. His foot suddenly stomped in front of him, and his ghost-like body appeared in front of Yang Hao. Xiao Yang's arm shook and a wave of sharp wind surged from nowhere, smashing into Yang Hao's chest in a lightning-like fashion. After suffering another heavy blow, Yang Hao once again spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His body flew backwards and shattered a couple of tables and chairs into dust. This Yang Hao is really a fool. A person laughed softly from somewhere within the building when Yang Hao pounced at Xiao Yang like a madman. This spot was an isolated area. It was much quieter compared to the other places. There were 4 figures seated beside the table, consisting of 3 men and 1 woman. A burning flame mark was imprinted on the foreheads of these 4 individuals. At a glance, they appeared just like real flames, causing one to feel hot. The voice from earlier was emitted from the mouth of a somewhat gentle-looking man among the 4 of them. Although this Xiao Yang is only a 5-star Dozun, his Do Chi is naturally far from what an ordinary person can compare with since he is in possession of a heavenly flame. It is only natural for Yang Hao to be defeated by his hands. A middle-aged man with rough eyebrows on the opposite side faintly commented on the matter. He still possesses an extremely powerful soul. Under his spiritual perception, ghost agility techniques are completely useless. That Yang Hao is too arrogant. The last man was wearing a white robe. His appearance was quite handsome. The corner of his mouth contained a slight smile which gave one a warm feeling. This man's eyes landed on the lady beside him after his words sounded. This lady was wearing a pale red dress. A veil covered her face, but the outline that was revealed through the veil was still extremely alluring. Her bright eyes did not contain the slightest ripple. She also did not respond to the conversation between the 3. It was as though everything had difficulty arousing her interest. Huiji, can you not treat us as though we are non-existent? That white-clothed man involuntarily shook his head and spoke when he saw this manner of hers. I am interested in his heavenly flame. That red-clothed lady finally raised her head a little after hearing his words. She glanced at Xiao Yang on the stage. Her voice was cold and enchanting. The white-clothed trio of men helplessly rolled their eyes when they heard what she said. They were just about to speak when the red-clothed lady suddenly said, "It is quite lively today. Looks like the members of the GU clan don't really welcome Xiao Yang." The blood-covered Yang Hao stared ferociously at Xiao Yang. His breathing was just like that of a bull. It was a long while later before he charged forward in a crazy manner. However, an ice-cold cry suddenly resounded within the wine shop. Yang Hao, Yang Hao's entire body suddenly trembled when he heard this cry. He actually recovered. His body stood on the spot as he clenched his hands. You have completely embarrassed the Jiyu clan. A figure slowly appeared in front of Yang Hao after he stopped moving. The ice-cold voice caused fear to flash across Yang Hao's eyes. Second brother. Ling Quan's duo were startled when they saw that figure. Joy immediately surged in the former's eyes. Their bodies rushed forward and appeared beside that figure before respectfully addressing him. That figure glanced at the two of them. A cold cry sounded before his eyes suddenly shifted away. He stared at the skinny figure on the stage and asked in a deep voice, Xiao Yang, do you enjoy beating others? Xiao Yang looked down at the figure from his vantage point. The figure was wearing pale silver armor. Silver light flowed over his body as a mighty aura spread apart. Quite a number of people were giving it a sidelong glance. It is just sparring. Xiao Yang glanced at the silver-armored man. The way Ling Quan addressed this person made it obvious that this figure should be that so-called second commander. This person should be a 6-star Dozun. The eyes of the silver-armored man narrowed upon hearing this. His body moved, and he appeared on the stone stage before speaking faintly. Black Submerged Army Second Commander, Lin Xiao, since you like to spar this much, this commander shall come and give it a try. What do you think? If this is a tactic to take turns fighting me, it seems that you are lacking in numbers. Xiao Yang laughed. There is no need for us to fight you one after another in order to deal with you. Lin Xiao coldly laughed. Today, Yang Hao was publicly beaten by Xiao Yang until he was miserable. If he did not step forward, it was likely that others would think that the Black Submerged Army was only this mediocre. What do you say? Xiao Yang, do you dare to receive another challenge? If second commander insists, then please begin. Xiao Yang merely knit his brows before relaxing. Lin Xiao was trying to corner him. It seemed that the young geniuses of the Jiyu clan had developed a deep grudge against him. As the saying went, a serious illness required strong medicine. Since this was the case, he would use some strong medicine. Quite a number of people in the building shot their eyes over when they saw the tense swords-drawn atmosphere on the stage. At this moment, everyone could tell that these young geniuses of the Jiyu clan seemed to possess a hidden grudge against Xiao Yang. Lin Xiao, all of you are making a farce. However, just when everyone thought that a battle was about to erupt, a furious elder's voice suddenly resounded. A grey-clothed figure appeared on the stone stage in a lightning-like manner and reprimanded Lin Xiao. Elder Jiyu Zun. Lin Xiao was startled when he saw this grey-clothed elder suddenly appearing. He cupped his hands and respectfully said, "What nonsense. As hosts, all of you are making things difficult for a guest of the Jiyu clan in public. Just how does this look? Aren't all of you withdrawing?" The old man called Jiyu Zun glared at this group as he furiously scolded them. Lin Xiao did not dare to argue after being chided by Jiyu Zun. He understood that he could not recoup their lost face today since this old man appeared. All he could do was helplessly shake his head. His cold eyes slid to Xiao Yang while his mouth slightly moved. A weak voice was quietly transmitted into Xiao Yang's ears. Xiao Yang, consider yourself lucky this time around. If you are sensible, you would leave the Jiyu clan as soon as possible. Otherwise, entering the Jiyu clan will only cause you to seek your own humiliation. Xiao Yang's expression remained calm when he heard the voice beside his ear. A faint but cold smile appeared within his dark black eyes. Lin Xiao did not dare to stay any longer after his voice sounded. He rushed down from the stage, grabbed Yang Hao, who was unable to even move, and strode out of the building. Jiyu Zun turned his head after watching Lin Xiao walk into the distant. His eyes were somewhat complicated as he looked at Xiao Yang. He softly said, "A member of the Xiao clan has once again come to the Jiyu clan. Young people tend to be impulsive. Due to the matter of young miss, you will probably meet many troubles in the future. Hopefully, you are prepared to meet them." Xiao Yang cupped his hands to Jiyu Zun, but he did not say anything. Jiyu Zun studied Xiao Yang in depth. After which, he turned around and stepped down from the stage before walking away from the building. Quite a number of people felt that they had not seen their fill when they watched the build-up of a fierce battle end in such an abrupt manner. However, there was nothing they could do. They could only withdraw their eyes and softly discuss that intense battle earlier. Numerous eyes continuously swept toward Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang was unconcerned about these gazes. He leaped down from the stone stage and was just about to return to his seat when he abruptly discovered the heavenly flame in his body leaping at this moment. His eyes followed the slight feeling. They finally paused on that somewhat quiet corner. There was a red-clothed lady wearing a veil. Both of her eyes were calmly observing him. There was a lifelike flame symbol between her eyebrows that was quietly blooming. Heavenly flame. A thought passed through Xiao Yang's mind as he looked at the fire symbol between the red-clothed lady's brows. The mysterious clans that Yarrow Larrow had mentioned appeared within his heart. She is a member of the Yang clan, huh? The two pair of eyes interacted with each other. There was a flame flowing within each of their eyes. It appeared as though the space between the two of them had gradually become hot. The four eyes faced each other. A moment later, a cluster of flames suddenly materialized out of nowhere between the two individuals. The ripple from the flame incinerated some nearby tables and chairs into ashes. Xiao Yang's body trembled when the flame burst apart. A solemn expression flashed across his face. The heavenly flame within the body of this red-dressed woman was likely extraordinary. What happened? The little fairy doctor quickly arrived by Xiao Yang's side. Her eyes followed his gaze and paused on the group of unfamiliar people before softly asking, "Nothing." Xiao Yang shook his head. He gave the red-dressed lady a deep look. Although he greatly coveted heavenly flames, he was not a fool. This woman was someone from the Yang clan Yarrow Laro had mentioned. Although Xiao Yang felt extremely unfamiliar with this clan, a faction that could be ranked alongside the Jiyu clan and the Hun clan likely possessed a powerful strength. He would not offend them because of a heavenly flame. Let's go. There were many pairs of eyes within the wine shop. Xiao Yang did not wish to remain for long. Hence, he turned around and walked out of the building. The little fairy doctor and the rest hesitated for a moment before closely following him. "Huiji, how is it?" The white-robed man smiled and asked when he saw the backs of Xiao Yang's group leaving. "A very strong heavenly flame," the red-robed lady called Huiji softly replied. A faint ripple rose within her quiet lake-like eyes. "If I have the chance, I would really like to exchange blows with him. I want to see whether this red lotus Yi flame, which is ranked 7th on the heavenly flame ranking, or his heavenly flame is stronger. You are only interested in these things." The white-robed man helplessly shook his head and said, "This Xiao Yang should be a member of the Xiao clan. It is unexpected that the clan, whose bloodline has become waste, is actually able to produce such a person. It is really unbelievable." The Xiao clan had the closest relationship with the Jiyu clan back then, but that was when they were strong. The friendship between the clans will forever be built on the foundation of having similar strength. If there wasn't opposition from some of the elders within the Jiyu clan, the tomb of Xiao Xian would have been forcefully opened by them. That gentle-looking man grinned and said, "The tomb of a peak expert is something that even the Jiyu clan cannot resist. Those are merely some radicals. There is no need to place everyone in the same category." The white-robed man shook his head. He stretched his lazy waist and laughed. "I am still most interested in the heavenly tomb that is opened once every 20 years. Although the heavenly tomb is within the Jiyu realm, the members of the 8 clans are qualified to enter it according to the agreement from back then. The tomb of Xiao Xian is also inside. I wonder if there will be anyone who will truly be able to barge in there. I wonder if the members of the other clans have arrived. Normally, they will not miss such a big event." That rough-eyebrowed man nodded and spoke. "Who cares about them? If they do not come, we will have fewer competitors. Let's leave." The white-clothed man curled his lips. After which, he stood up and walked out of the building. The few people behind him followed at a steady pace. "It looks like the situation is even more troublesome than what I have heard. Most of these 8 great commanders hold a grudge with you. Today, if the elder from the Jiyu clan had not appeared, it is likely that Lin Xiu would have attacked you." The little fairy doctor frowned and spoke on their way back to their house. "It is only natural for there to be trouble. If everything proceeded smoothly within this Jiyu clan, I would feel troubled." Xiao Yang laughed. He was unconcerned about those 8 great commanders. That Lin Xiu might be a 6-star Dozun, but he still did not pose a threat from Xiao Yang's point of view. The only person among these 8 great commanders whom Xiao Yang felt a little worried about was the first commander, who had yet to show himself. "The ones I am worried about aren't these 8 great commanders. Instead, I am worried about the 4 great generals. They are the most talented people among the younger generation of the Jiyu clan. According to their potential, they are also the ones with the greatest possibility to become the Black Submerged King. You should be aware that the lowest requirement for each Black Submerged King is to reach the Ban Sheng class." The little fairy doctor spewed more information with a solemn voice. "Ban Sheng, huh?" Xiao Yang momentarily stopped walking. His dark black eyes were filled with a graveness. The so-called 4 great generals were the true troublesome individuals. Facing these monster-like people really caused Xiao Yang to feel some pressure. If it's a blessing, it's not trouble. If it's trouble, there is no escaping it. It is pointless to say all this now. If trouble wishes to find us, there will be nothing we can do. Regardless of whether it is for the reputation of the Falling Star Pavilion or my Xiao clan, there are some things that are unavoidable." Xiao Yang shook his head. The 4 great generals might indeed be troublesome, but they weren't enough to cause Xiao Yang to step back because of the difficulty. There was nothing that he had not seen during these years. There were really not many people among the same generation that could get him to withdraw without fighting. Even the true geniuses from the Jiyu clan would not be able to force him to back down. The fist under Xiao Yang's sleeve suddenly tightened when this thought flashed across his heart. It was at this moment that he suddenly paused. It was as though he had sensed someone arriving. He abruptly lifted his head, and his gaze landed on the end of a small path in the forest. 3 figures in black robes were randomly standing there. A dangerous feeling quietly spread from them. The little fairy doctor and the rest also sensed something when Xiao Yang discovered the 3. The do qi within their bodies began to circulate. You are that Xiao Yang from the Xiao clan, right? The leader of the 3 black-robed individuals shook his black robe slightly and a somewhat shady laugh was slowly emitted. The laughter did not sound old. Clearly, its owner was not some old demon. Who are you? Xiao Yang knit his brows and asked. Ha, I thought that you would have deep memories of us. The black-robed leader laughed when he heard Xiao Yang's question. Xiao Yang's expression sank when he heard this response. His eyes carefully swept over the 3 of them. A familiar feeling surged into his heart, causing his expression to become dense. People from the Hall of Souls? Compared to this name, I would prefer to hear you call us the Hun clan, the black-robed man laughed. However, his laughter contained a sinister intent that could not be hidden. Xiao Yang's expression was ice-cold. He started at these 3 people in a dense manner. Do qi swiftly circulated within his body. It was unexpected that he would meet people from the Hall of Souls here. There is no need to act like this. The task of capturing you should not be done by me. Therefore, I also do not have any intention of intervening. I have only come here because I wish to see how far the Xiao clan, which had firmly suppressed my Hun clan, has fallen. The black-robed man grinned. You can get lost after seeing what you want. The little fairy doctor coldly laughed. She clenched her hand, and a vast and mighty do qi agglomerated into a do qi whip in her hand. Her hand was ruthlessly swung. The long whip penetrated through air and explosively shot toward the black-robed person. Presumptuous. The other 2 figures coldly cried out when they saw the little fairy doctor attack. They shook their sleeves and a clear crashing sound appeared. 2 dark black chains rushed out like poisonous snakes. They ruthlessly collided with the long do qi whip. Bang! A frightening wind was created when they collided. The surrounding trees were immediately turned into dust. The reason I have come is not to attack you. All I wish to do is give you advice. Opposing my Hun clan will not lead to a good end. The black-robed leader merely smiled when the blows of both parties were exchanged. He raised his head a little. A pale skinny young face was revealed under the black doping. At this moment, the face that was revealed contained a dense smirk. Relax, sooner or later, you will swallow these words of yours. Xiao Yang calmly replied. Cuckoo, I really hope for that day. However, I think that your final fate will not be much different from Xiao Xian. The black-robed man softly laughed. His body slowly became illusory with this laugh. A moment later, it completely disappeared in a strange manner. Remember my name, Hun Ya. My ancestor was one of those who had seriously injured Xiao Xian back then, resulting in his death. Therefore, this time around, the person who will finish you off will likely be me. This is fate. You will not be able to escape it. Ha ha. A faint laugh was slowly emitted from the empty space after the 3 black-robed figures disappeared. Finally, it resounded over the entire place. It was a long time later before it slowly disappeared. Xiao Yang was without expression. His gaze only withdrew from the spot where those 3 had disappeared after the laugh had scattered. After which, he walked toward the house without a single word, but no one saw the clenched fist under his sleeve. A fierce glint flashed within his dark black eyes. Hun Ya, since this is the case, the debt that your ancestor owed will be paid by you. The Jiyu realm possesses the tomb of ancestor Xiao Xian. Hence, let this place become the place where you will be buried. The little fairy doctors group studied Xiao Yang's back. Although Xiao Yang was remaining quiet, they could sense a dense killing intent seeping from his body. Clearly, Hun Ya had really sparked the murderous desire in Xiao Yang's heart. This fellow will regret it. 3 days swiftly passed as everyone waited. Xiao Yang's group did not head out during these 3 days. Lin Xiu and the others did not appear in front of them again, likely due to being reprimanded by Elder Jiyu Zun. However, Xiao Yang's group understood that such a method would not solve the problem. Of course, Xiao Yang was not really concerned about such trouble. Ever since that person from the Hall of Souls called Hun Ya had appeared, his focus had basically been transferred to this person. From the words that Hun Ya had said, Xiao Yang was aware that this person likely possessed some status within the Hun clan. After all, he possessed an ancestor who was strong. It was likely that Hun Ya also possesses a strong background within that Hun clan. Otherwise, he would not have 2 7-star Do Zun experts as guards beside him. An expert of this strength would hold the position of a Tianzuan within the Hall of Souls. An ordinary person would not be able to command them. The words Hun Ya had said also hinted at the mystery behind the death of his ancestor Xiao Xian. It seemed that he was surrounded and attacked by many experts. This ancestor of Hun Ya was one of them. These matters occurred far too long ago. It was impossible to investigate them. Since this fellow had given him such murderous intent, there was nothing wrong with placing this matter on this fellow. Xiao Yang could not see through the strength of Han Ya. It was likely that he possessed some special method to hide his strength. Based on Xiao Yang's guess, he was definitely quite strong. That faint sense of danger was not something an ordinary person could give him. Although Xiao Yang was a little afraid of this person, it did not hinder the murderous intent within his heart. As long as this person remained in the Do Zun class, the current Xiao Yang possessed the qualification to make him feel regret. The Jiyu sacred city became unusually lively when the morning sun on the third day rained down. Today was the day that the door to the Jiyu realm would open. Most of the people present were curious about this mysterious place. Not many people in this world possessed supernatural people to create a realm. While wave after wave of noise was being emitted from the city, Xiao Yang's group was ready to leave. They exited the manor, followed the human flow, and swiftly headed to the middle of the city. There was an extremely enormous lake in the middle of the Jiyu sacred city. The lake was unusually clear. One was unable to see the other edge with a glance. That kind of depth caused people to feel creeped out. At this moment, the surroundings of the lake were occupied by many human figures. Even the top of the surrounding buildings had many figures on them. Many gazes gathered on the clear lake. Numerous people wearing armor were standing tall on the lake. A powerful aura spread, causing no one to be bold enough to step onto the lake. Everyone, the Jiyu realm will open soon. The area within the Jiyu realm is extremely vast. It is unavoidable to lose your way if you randomly roam around. Should you end up barging into some spatial cracks, it is likely that you will end up dying in empty space. Therefore, I hope that everyone will not randomly roam around after entering. Elder Jiyu Zun, whom Xiao Yang's group had met yesterday, was standing in the middle of the lake. He was crying out in a loud and clear voice. There will be someone to receive you after entering the Jiyu realm. After which, they will send everyone to the central area of the Jiyu realm, the Jiyu sacred mountain range. There are also the Jiyu clan descendant citizens within the Jiyu realm. I hope that everyone will not disturb them. Otherwise, you might be blacklisted by our Jiyu clan. Is everyone clear? Some courteous replies were emitted from outside of the lake after Jiyu Zun's words were heard. Jiyu clan descendant citizen? Xiao Yang was slightly startled when he heard this term. The Jiyu clan descendant citizen is the lowest level within the Jiyu clan, but it is also the most important level. After multiplying for a countless number of years, there are quite a number of Jiyu clan descendant citizens within the Jiyu realm. All of them possess the Do Di bloodline within their bodies. However, this bloodline is insignificant. Of course, some accidents or variations occur that result in the strength of their bloodline becoming stronger. Once these special descendant citizens are discovered, their statuses soar as they become a true member of the Jiyu clan. They will enjoy an incomparable honor. Tian Huazunja smiled as he explained. A countless amount of new blood, no wonder the Jiyu clan hasn't declined over time. Xiao Yang nodded. With such a large amount of descendant citizens, no wonder the Jiyu clan has an endless number of young geniuses. They are ultimate geniuses that were selected from 100,000 or even 1,000,000 people. Tian Huazunja smiled and nodded. While the two were conversing, waves of ripples had suddenly appeared on the clam lake. Everyone sensed an extremely frightening spatial fluctuation spreading from the space above the lake. An extremely bright light pillar suddenly shot out when this kind of frightening spatial ripple had reached its peak. It connected with the energy of the city. Rumble. A thunder-like sound was suddenly emitted from the space above the ripple when the two connected. Space split apart in front of numerous shocked eyes. A moment later, a large door that led into the unknown deeps of space appeared in front of the many eyes present. The spatial door that leads to the Jiyu realm has been opened. Everyone, please enter. Jiyu Zun smiled as he looked at the enormous spatial door. After which, he spoke in a loud and clear voice. Jiyu Zun's words had just sounded when some figures around flashed. They rushed over and appeared in front of the spatial door. After curiously observing it, some skilled and bold individuals took the lead. They felt very assured when it came to the Jiyu clan and were not worried that the Jiyu clan would do anything to them. With someone taking the lead, a commotion occurred in the crowd behind. Everyone began to rush toward the spatial door one after another. Even when faced with such a large scale, the spatial door appeared like a bottomless pit. No matter how many people squeezed in, it did not ripple even a little. Let's get moving. Xiao Yang smiled when he saw that there was no unusual signs on the spatial door. He took the lead to walk toward the lake. His foot stepped on the water, and he headed to the spatial door. The little fairy doctor and the others followed close behind. The edges of the spatial door were heavily guarded by the warriors of the Black Submerged Army. Xiao Yang saw Ling Quan and the second commander, Lin Xiu, who had revealed himself back then, at the leader's spot. He did not see the third commander Yang Hao. It was likely that he was still recuperating. After all, Xiao Yang's attacks had been quite heavy. Lin Xiu narrowed both of his eyes when he saw Xiao Yang's group walking over. He glanced at Elder Jiyu Zun, who was busy. After which, his foot gently took a step to the left and coincidentally blocked the path in front of Xiao Yang's group. Xiao Yang acted as though he did not see this roadblock. His feet continued to walk along the route that he had taken earlier. Finally, the bodies of the two gently collided together. Bang! A slight sound was quietly emitted the moment the collision occurred. The lake water under their feet suddenly formed many intense circular waves. However, the force which both people used was perfectly controlled. Hence, this ferocious collision did not stir much of a commotion. Bang! Xiao Yang was without expression. His shoulder rapidly shook in a strange manner. Wave after wave of force came one after another with lightning-like speed and continuously collided with Lin Xiu's shoulder. Lin Xiu's expression paled as they collided again. The force that was being transmitted from Xiao Yang's body was so hot that it was frightening. Moreover, that heat also hid a chill. The interlacing of the two immediately caused his shoulder to become numb. A muffled moan was emitted from his throat as his feet staggered back 3 steps on the surface of the lake. That final step even caused his foot to fall into the lake. Clearly, this second commander of the Black Submerged Army was unable to gain an advantage in this collision. Xiao Yang's expression was clam. He glanced at Lin Xiu's ugly expression but did not say anything. He once again stepped forward and headed toward the spatial gate. Xiao Yang, you should not be arrogant. There will naturally be someone to deal with you within the GU realm. I will wait for you to climb out like a dead dog. Xiao Yang's act of ignoring him caused the veins on Lin Xiu's head to bulge. He finally clenched his teeth the moment that Xiao Yang was about to enter the spatial door. A low and sinister voice was transmitted into Xiao Yang's ears. You worry too much, second commander. You should take care of yourself first. Xiao Yang's body paused, and he indifferently smirked. After which, he did not remain any longer. He stepped into the spatial door. The space rippled, and he quickly disappeared. Lin Xiu once again moaned when Xiao Yang disappeared. Immediately, a trace of blood seeped from the corner of his mouth in front of the stunned eyes of some people from the Black Submerged Army. Bastard! Lin Xiu's expression was gloomy. Doqi surged to his right shoulder. After which, he suddenly spread his palm. A purple-brown flame mixed with a dense white color was shot out of his palm. It was shot into the lake, which emitted an extremely dense white fog and a sizzling sound. This flame was naturally something that Xiao Yang had inserted into Lin Xiu's body when they had exchanged blows earlier. However, Lin Xiu had been unwilling to show weakness in front of Xiao Yang earlier. It was due to this that he forcefully endured it. Nevertheless, he did not expect that forcefully enduring these frightening flames to cause such a degree of destruction within his body. Xiao Yang, I have underestimated you. However, it is not your turn as a bastard of a wasted clan to act arrogantly in my GU realm. There will naturally be someone to deal with you in the GU realm. I will wait here for when you climb out like a dead dog. Young miss isn't someone that a person as lowly as you can desire. Clouds floated through an endless azure blue sky. Occasionally, a breeze would blow, causing a green wave to stretch into the horizon on the grassland below. An intense fluctuation was suddenly being emitted in the sky, and an enormous dark black spatial door strange appeared out of nowhere. Soon after it appeared, numerous figures began to slowly materialize from it. They stood in this foreign place. Is this the GU clan? What dense natural energy! It is at least a couple of times greater than the outside world. It is indeed a level that only an elite Do Sheng can reach. This supernatural power is really unbelievable. Numerous exclamations gradually spread following the appearance of these human figures. While everyone was exclaiming, Xiao Yang's group also walked out of the spatial door. They sensed the dense energy and surprise flashed across their faces. What a powerful natural energy! If one trains here, one's progress will be twice as fast as the outside world. This GU clan is not only blessed in terms of training talent, they also possess such blessed land. It is not without reason that they are strong. Xiao Yang inhaled a breath of air and exclaimed. This kind of opening of a realm is like creating another world. Although its size is not as large as the Doqi continent, this is the reason that the natural energy gathers here better. One would be able to obtain twice the results with half the effort when it comes to training. Tian Huazunja also nodded and reasoned. Bang! While Xiao Yang was conversing with Tian Huazunja, the sound of muffled thunder suddenly reverberated in the distant sky. Everyone saw large thick clouds surging toward them from all directions. Those are... Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes and observed the dark clouds. A moment later, his eyes suddenly shrank. Flying battleships. When Xiao Yang discovered those dark clouds, some other sharp-eyed individuals had also discovered them and numerous exclamations were emitted. The dark clouds were formed by 10 flying battleships in the sky and gathered around the battleships. Looking from a distance, it appeared as though the battleships were riding the dark clouds. They were accompanied by thunderbolts as they arrived. This appearance was spectacular. It is indeed worthy of being the GU clan. This grandness is something that few factions in the Central Plains can compare with. Xiao Yang softly sighed as he watched the battleships swiftly fly over. Rumble. The dark clouds were accompanied by thunderbolts as they arrived. After which, they slowly stopped in the sky. An elderly voice was transmitted from the battleships. Ha ha, all guests, please board the ships. After the elder's voice sounded, one could see the lingering dark clouds suddenly part and form a gap. The end of the gap reached the battleships. Seeing this, some people took the lead to move after hesitating for a moment. They rushed onto a large battleship. Xiao Yang's group waited for a moment and then followed after seeing no unusual changes. Xiao Yang's group only realized the enormous size of the battleships after boarding one. A person appeared exceptionally small when standing on it. One could see warriors from the black submerged army holding long spears all over the battleships. Its defenses were unusually tight. After everyone had entered the battleship, the elder's voice from earlier sounded once again. Soon after, the body of the boat shook. Xiao Yang sensed the surrounding spatial fluctuations grow more intense. He shut his eyes and sensed the surroundings, and surprise quickly filled his face. Shuttling through space. What a mysterious battleship. Ha ha, this kind of battleship is something that the Jiyu clan inherited from the ancient times. It is called a space shuttle boat. In terms of its speed, it is likely that even an expert at the peak of the Dozun class would not be able to catch up with it. Unfortunately, such a thing is really too rare now. A laugh was suddenly transmitted from behind Xiao Yang when he was feeling surprised. Xiao Yang turned his head, only to see a white-robed man smiling behind them. On the forehead of this man, a lifelike fire symbol slowly burned. This person was one of the people Xiao Yang had seen in the wine shop back then. Mister, thank you for the information. The smile of this white-robed man was natural. Xiao Yang could sense that he did not possess any ill thoughts. Xiao Yang also grinned, cupped his hands, and thanked him. Haha, you are too courteous. I am Huoxian, the white-robed man smiled as he introduced himself. Xiao Yang also replied with a smile. However, Huoxian merely waved his hand as he said, the pill-gathering champion Xiao Yang. Haha, I naturally know who you are. Brother Huoxian is likely a member of the Yang clan, right? Xiao Yang smiled and inquired. Huoxian was unsurprised that Xiao Yang was able to see though his identity. He grinned and nodded before saying, if one were to talk about it, our two clans did have some relation a long time ago. I wonder if brother Xiao Yang has come to the Jiyu realm because of the opening of the Heavenly Tomb? Heavenly Tomb? Xiao Yang was startled when he heard this term. Huoxian was also stunned when he saw Xiao Yang's reaction. He immediately came to a sudden understanding before saying, this is my negligence. Ever since Elder Xiao Xian died, the Xiao clan has never come to the Jiyu realm again. It is likely that some things have been lost during the inheritance. Can brother Huoxian tell me about this heavenly tomb? Xiao Yang laughed. This matter is not some secret to you. Hence, it is fine to tell brother Xiao Yang about it. Huoxian hesitated for a moment before replying with a smile. This heavenly tomb is left behind from ancient times. There are quite a number of tombs belonging to various experts there. Among them is the tomb of your ancestor, Xiao Xian. Xiao Yang's heart pounded. It was unexpected that this so-called heavenly tomb was related to his ancestor. One of the reasons that he had come to the Jiyu realm this time around was to make a trip to the tomb of his ancestor. He might be able to obtain something there. The heavenly tomb is extremely mysterious. It possesses the energy imprints of many experts from the ancient times, and with the flow of time, these imprints have transformed into their appearances from when they were alive. As long as one defeats them, one will be able to obtain the energy imprint and absorb it to raise one's strength. Huoxian laughed. It should be known that these energy imprints are extraordinary. They are equivalent to a true high-tier medicinal pill. Moreover, they are the type one can continuously consume without having its effects diminish by much. Of course, the most important thing is that time within the heavenly tomb flows slower than the outside world. 5 days within the heavenly tomb is equivalent to 1 day in the outside world. What? Even with Xiao Yang's calmness, he was involuntarily startled when he heard these words. This world actually possessed such a mysterious place. 5 days inside it was equivalent to 1 day outside. Would that mean only 6 days would pass in the outside world if one stayed for a month inside of it? If one stayed 1 year inside it, then only 2 months would have passed. If someone trained for 100 years inside, would that person not become an ultimate expert when he came out? With this kind of excess time, even the most stupid fool would be able to obtain a great achievement. Haha, the heavenly tomb is mysterious. However, there is also a limit. This thing will open once every 20 years. One is able to stay 3 years within it at any one time, which is equivalent about half a year in the outside world. Huoxian laughed. Of course, only the clan members from the 8 ancient clans qualify to enter the heavenly tomb. Other people will not possess such a qualification. Putting it this way, brother Xiao Yang is also able to enter it. The Xiao clan has already fallen, but I can still enter. Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes. After hearing Huoxian put it this way, the heavenly tomb was making him excited. Staying inside for 3 years would be enough for him to do many things. The thing that he felt he lacked the most now was time. These are the rules. Regardless of how down and out the Xiao clan is, it was once one of the 8 clans. Of course, you should also understand that you will ultimately meet some trouble. However, given brother Xiao Yang's strength, you should be able to resolve this troubles. Huoxian spread his hands as he spoke. Xiao Yang quietly nodded. After which, he cupped his hands to Huoxian and said, Brother Huoxian, thank you for your information. Haha, this is a small matter. If you really enter the heavenly tomb when the time comes, I might need to cooperate with you. Some of the other clans have a grudge with my Yang clan. It is always good to have an additional friend. Huoxian smiled as he spoke. If Xiao Yang was an ordinary person, he would naturally not take the initiative to come forward. However, Xiao Yang was not only a member of the Xiao clan, he also possessed a great strength. These people were worth befriending. Xiao Yang smiled and nodded. He naturally understood these logic. This Huoxian had perhaps only told him these secrets because of his strength. However, this was an ordinary occurrence. If he was in Huoxian's shoes, he would also not reveal secrets to people who were not related to them. Additionally, you should pay more attention to the people from the Hun clan and the Yarrow clan. There is no need to talk much about the Hun clan. Your Xiao clan has been enemies since long ago. The fall of the Xiao clan back then is definitely related to them. As for the Yarrow clan, it is due to your teacher Yarrow Chen. Haha, speaking of which, I did not expect Elder Yarrow Chen to be someone from the Yarrow clan. This is something that my clan's elders only mentioned to me while on this trip. Huoxian laughed. If I have guessed correctly, the people the Yarrow clan have dispatched this time around should be Yarrow Xingji, who is called human medicine within the Yarrow clan. These members of the Yarrow clan do not think highly of the alchemists in the outside world. Additionally, you are a disciple of Elder Yarrow Chen, whom the Yarrow clan abandoned back then, and you are rumored to be the strongest alchemist of the younger generation within the Central Plains. Given that fellow's character, he will definitely embarrass you if the both of you meet. Human medicine, Yarrow Xingji, a strange title, a strange name. Xiao Yang repeated the names in his mouth. After which, he shook his head. Just hearing the names of these fellows already caused Xiao Yang to dislike him. Although his names are strange, it is rumored that he is a tier 8 alchemist. His actual strength is not inferior to you. You should be careful if you meet him. Huoxian reminded. Xiao Yang nodded. The 8th tier was not a bad level. Hopefully, this person would not offend him. Otherwise, he would let them know that even the disciple of someone abandoned by the Yarrow clan was stronger than their so-called core clan members. The indignity that teacher had suffered shall be returned by this disciple on behalf of his elderly self. This video will end here.